In this episode, we're going to cover the Leoguar Strider, and in my opinion, this is one of the best looking bikes in the market at this price point. Let's go talk about it. The brakes here are fully hydraulic brakes with 180 millimeter discs. The company did not skimp on the brakes, and with a bike at this price point, that's what you expect, and these brakes work great. One thing here, you'll notice it does have a light on the front. Now, could the light be better? Yeah, it could be better. Does it put off a lot of light? No, but is it good enough? Yeah, it'll work in a pinch. The light could be a little bit bigger and offer a little bit more light, in my opinion. The forks here, the forks are about what you would expect on an e-bike in this price point. They do have a lockout feature on the right side over here. That'll just keep the fork rigid if you so decide that's how you want your bike to ride. It also has a preload adjustment over here. I haven't been able to get the preload to really change the ride of the bike. I don't know if that's just there for looks or what, but it does have that there if you want to tinker with it. One thing I want to make sure that you, the viewer, know and understand is that bikes like this a lot of times will look the same and have similar components. When a manufacturer decides to put a quality battery in their bike, like this company did, that's going to raise the price of the bike. This bike has a very nice battery as opposed to some other companies who might just use a generic cell from China. This bike comes with a very high quality battery, and the way that you get it in and out is very simple too. You just turn the key one time and turn the key a second time, and then the battery drops out. A great feature about the battery, you can charge it out of the bike, and it has a charge indicator built into the battery, so if you're charging this away from the bike, you know exactly how much charge you have in the battery. One thing I've never noticed on an e-bike is these connections. If you look here, they're color-coded and they're threaded with knurls on here so that you can twist them in tight. A lot of times you'll just find on e-bikes, these are just simple plugs. It looks like Leoguar went the extra mile and actually put some quality connections on here, which is a bonus. Let's go. Another thing here, guys, I would not be doing justice to this bike if I didn't mention is the pedals. The pedals, for me, if you've ever seen any of my Razor videos, I am an attention to detail, and then this bike provides that for me on these pedals. It might seem like something small. The pedals are metal. They're not plastic like you would find on some cheaper e-bikes. And the shank or the shaft where it goes into the crank is a very nice piece of metal that connects this whole unit. It's just very well made, solid. It's just solid. I like that. Moving back towards the back of the bike, y'all, it does have a motor connection here. And the good thing about having a motor connection is if you have to replace your tire or your tube, you don't have to disconnect the motor wire from the controller, trace it all the way back out, the wires through the frame, through the whole thing. There's a connection right here. If you need to take your wheel off, you just break the connection and you can take your wheel off. Super easy. Since we're on the back of the bike, guys, you can see here we touched on the brakes already, hydraulic brake on the rear, matching the front as well. But one thing I want to mention, and I said it earlier about the pedals, was the attention to detail. Check the motor out. Leoguar went as far as to brand in their own logo on the hub. They didn't have to do that. I just think it's an extra touch that brings a sense of uniqueness to the bike, specific to the company. Last thing about the motor I'll say is 750 watts. That's pretty common. It's par for the course on a 48 volt motor. A 48 volt system like this bike has. Moving back here to the shifter, this is a 8-speed shifter. A lot of times you'll find a 7-speed shifter on these things. It's an 8-speed shifter. And another thing I want to mention about attention to detail, the chain. This is a nice, high quality chain. It's not some cheesy chain, you know, on a kid's bike from Toys R Us. It is a quality chain. So there you go. The things that the company did to add value to the bike shows in the price, but you're also getting it. They're just not gonna charge you $1,600 for a bike that's got the same components as a $1,000 bike. This bike has better components than some of the bikes that cost sometimes the same or even less, and they're justifying it with the components. And last thing, and then we'll get to the controls up top. Here is your charge port for the outside of the bike. You can charge it right there. Got a waterproof cap. Too easy. All right, guys, so here we are at the cockpit of the bike. You'll see these grips are nicer than a lot of grips that you'll find on an e-bike in this class. This is a very nice grip. It's got metal levers, not plastic, hydraulic brakes. This is your reservoir for the brake fluid. We'll check out the display here real quick. Top button turns it on. Turn that sucker on. Leoguar. And here we go. It's going to have your miles per hour, it has your time, it has your trip, it has your odometer, and it has your assist ratings. On the website, it says it's five levels of assistance. Mine tends to go up to 6. So, I don't know. Maybe I have an upgraded version. Moving on here, this is the shifter on this side, and I like this shifter. The reason why I like this shifter is what I'm used to. Maybe you're used to something else, but I like the 2 levers up and down on your shifter. Sometimes it's just one push, you know, and then that's all you get. But I like having the dual, one for up, one for down. The horn, I didn't mention the horn here. Okay, it is what it is. We've talked about the components on the bike. Let's talk about the things that I think could be better. I think the front light could be a little bit bigger. Sure, okay, no biggie. The rear, it doesn't have a rear light. It has a reflector. It could use a rear light. That'd be cool. And the last thing is that it comes with a Class 2 e-bike. So you only get a 20-mile-an-hour top speed with throttle. There is one thing I'm going to mention to you. If you buy this bike, you can go onto the website and send them an email, and they will send you an unlock code that will unlock it to a Class 3, which will enable this bike to go 28 miles an hour. So not a deal breaker, just an extra step. The likes on this bike far exceed the don't likes. I love the style of the bike. Check out the website. I love their color combinations. Nobody else in this scene is doing it the way that they're doing it with the color. I love the matching wheels with the black spokes. The powder coat finish on this bike is super, super nice. I dig it. I love the style. I love the battery and how the battery comes out. I love that they chose to bite the bullet, if you will, and put a good quality battery in here as opposed to something that maybe isn't as good and using more of a generic cell type battery. Good. I like that. Worth the expense. I'll say that. Anyway, enough blabbing. Let's get on the road and let's get some final thoughts. This is the kind of terrain that I think this bike might be best for, is this light type of trail right here. I got it in mode 1, and I don't think this bike will have any problem with a gravel trail like this. We're gonna get out on the street too. One thing I'll say about this bike is it rides just like a mountain bike, because it's basically a mountain bike with a hub motor on it. It just rides really nice on terrain like this with these big tires. There's a lot of air in those tires. Those tires provide a lot of cushion. Let me stop real quick. We're in the sun. The display is visible in the direct sunlight, which is perfect. I've had and reviewed e-bikes where the display is incredible at night or in the shade, but the second the sun hits it, you can't read nothing, which in my opinion is kind of pointless. It's worth mentioning this bike weighs about 70 pounds, but when you're on it with its power, it doesn't feel like it weighs 70 pounds. To pick it up, it's heavy, it weighs 70 pounds, but to ride it, it rides, like I said earlier, just like a mountain bike. You can't even tell how much it weighs.